What's up, back Nowstalgia? Dave here with my reaction to the 2026 Golden Globe nominations. The 83rd Golden Globes will be airing in January, just a few weeks. Now we have the full nominations to review. And of course, this is not because we actually care about the Golden Globes or respect the opinion of the Hollywood Foreign Press. This is more interesting to look at as the first most high-profile example of where the Oscar awards race will go and what movies will start to get more attention than others as the pack begins to separate. That's what the Golden Globes are most useful for and are not a body in and of themselves that people care too much about. And I'm really going to set aside the TV nominations that we got here. Globes, of course, are either reacting to and awarding stuff that already won Emmys a few months ago, or jumping ahead of stuff that was not in the previous Emmy window and nominating it first. Really nothing new there, nothing particularly interesting. We'll wait for the Emmys to come back around. But just kind of jumping through, we're going to talk about the major awards nominations here and what jumped out as not being nominated and what that might say about its chances in the Oscars and the Guild Awards to come. And of course, not being recognized by the Golden Globe is hardly a death sentence, but it does perhaps set you back at least a little bit in terms of visibility in terms of a campaign. And given that the Golden Globes nominate both drama and then musical or comedy in separate categories, if you're not nominated in either one with this expanded field, it doesn't look super great for you. So looking at Best Picture here, of course, you have the drama field, which is Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. And then Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, we have Blue Moon, Begonia, Marty Supreme, No Other Choice, Nouvelle Vague, and One Battle After Another. So what jumps out right there, a lot of the familiar faces, the films we expect to be nominated for Oscars and continue throughout the season are there. Nothing too shocking. I think the two most notable films that are not nominated in either, Best Picture field here would be Avatar, Fire and Ash and Wicked for Good. The previous Avatar and the previous Wicked film both were nominated for Best Picture, and of course Avatar 1 was as well. So that is certainly notable, and it's particularly amusing because they actually both are nominated in the box office, Golden Globes only type of award that they do have, cinematic and box office achievement. Wicked for Good and Avatar Fire and Ash are both in that category. Also particularly funny because Avatar has not come out yet. The box office achievement is quite assumed and almost a lock, but it hasn't actually happened yet. It's still funny that it's there. One aside about the cinematic and box office achievement nomination, I actually love that K-pop Demon Hunters is nominated in that category. I think it's a really wise interpretation and broadening of that nom, given that film had a very impressive box office, 2 months after it actually came out on the Netflix service. So appreciate that. But yeah, Best Picture, it's clearly Avatar and Wicked not being there that jumps out here. And you look at this, Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, One Battle After Another, Marty Supreme. Those all seem very safe to be Best Picture nominations. I also expect No Other Choice and Begonia to be contending for noms. Blue Moon, Nouvelle Vague, I don't think so, but we'll see. This also is clearly setting the stage of the Netflix tiers, right? It's pretty notable that Nouvelle Vague was actually able to squeak in here, and you look at the other Netflix films that aren't nominated here. Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out 3 from Rian Johnson. No nominations at all, including Best Picture, of course. The first Knives Out we know was a Best Picture nominee. House of Dynamite from Catherine Bigelow is not represented here. Train Dreams, also notably not in either of these categories. I think that's also a very noticeable omission here. But Nouvelle Vague, maybe a bit of a surprise, maybe a bit of just need to get through with the musical or comedy field. Well, we won't read too much into it. Best Motion Picture Non-English Language. This is very chalk overall. You have It Was Just an Accident from France, via Iran. No Other Choice from South Korea. The Secret Agent from Brazil. And Sentimental Value from Norway. Those four are damn near locks for Best Picture. And then what will that fifth nom be for the Oscars? Well, there's two to pick from here from the Globes. You have Sirat from Spain and the voice of Heen Rajab from Tunisia. So we'll see how that shakes out. But the core four that we expected to be there are in fact here. Best Motion Picture Animated, a lot of familiar faces again. K-pop Demon Hunters, Zootopia 2 from Disney, Elio from Pixar, Arco, I believe it's French, kind of more adult animated film, kind of reminiscent of Flow last year. That's here. And then the Demon Slayer movie that, of course, was massive. and also Little Emily, or The Character of Rain, which is a French film that's, I believe, set actually in Japan. Of course, these are animated. I think that's more or less the animated field, with again, there's 6 there. We're gonna narrow one down. I think if I was gonna take one to not make it into the Oscar field, I'm probably picking Elio or Demon Slayer, I would say, but that's our early look there. In terms of Best Actor, we have Motion Picture Drama. You have Joel Edgerton in Train Dreams, Oscar Isaac, Frankenstein, Dwayne Johnson, The Smashing Machine, Michael B. Jordan, Sinners, Wagner Moore, Secret Agent, and Jeremy Allen White for Springsteen. And then Best Actor, Musical or Comedy, Timothée Chalamet for Mari Supreme, George Clooney for Jay Kelly, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice, and Jesse Plemons for Begonia. Looking at this here, nothing immediately jumps out as someone who's not really here. I mean, there's a lot of people that I don't expect to truly have the Oscar juice when it's all said and done. Jeremy Allen White, Dwayne Johnson, Oscar Isaac, probably Ethan Hawke as well. We'll see. George Clooney probably as well. Notable, I will say, is Lee Byung-hun getting nominated here for No Other Choice. I think that is very possible at the Oscars, although maybe not likely, but international nominations at the Globes, not the most common thing overall, so that says something to me. Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama, similarly, Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Jennifer Lawrence, Die My Love, Renata Reinsve for Sentimental Value, Julie Roberts for After the Hunt, Tessa Thompson for Hedda, and Eva Victor for Sorry Baby. Of that, I think Buckley obviously is a lock. She's a favorite to win. Renata Reinsve will also be there as well. I don't think any of those other people are going to get an Oscar nomination, though. Obviously, Jennifer Lawrence is in the mix, but I don't expect it to happen. Yeah, that's a great example of the Globes due to the split categories, just recognizing a lot of other performances you probably won't see recognized too often from here on out. So it's good to keep that in mind. And then, Best Actress in Musical or Comedy, we have Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good, Kate Hudson, Songs in Blue, Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another, Amanda Seyfried, The Testament of Anne Lee, Emma Stone, Begonia. So that's where a lot of the rest of the field is, right? Stone, Seyfried, Chase Infinity, Rose Byrne, Cynthia Erivo. They're not all going to get in, alongside Jessie Buckley and Renata Reinsve. So, who's going to get out? Best Actress is truly, a bloodbath here this year, and maybe the weakness of Wicked, if that is in fact true, maybe Cynthia Erivo doesn't get through. We'll find out. I think Chase Infinity also perhaps has a bit of an uphill battle to be recognized here. We'll see how strong the one battle wave is when it actually comes. We'll find out. And then, of course, in truly amusing Globes fashion, they don't separate out Best Supporting Actor and Actress into the drama and then musical or comedy subfields. We just have one 6 nomination supporting category here. More reminiscent of how the Oscars and other awards bodies will actually go. So, supporting actor, we have Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. That is a very close to chalk top 6 there. And if you think about who is pretty safe to locks, I would say Skarsgård, Mescal, Penn, and Benicio, I think. It's interesting. Maybe Mescal isn't as safe as we think. Not really sure. Frankenstein and Jacob Elordi's performance, maybe that's rising. We'll find out soon enough. Adam Sandler as Jay Kelly. It's the thing I think most likely to be nominated for that film. I don't think the Clooney nomination will happen with the Oscars, but it's possible for Sandler. But he's probably not going to get through it. It's tough. This is a really tough field, but I think we're going to get the top 5 out of 6 from that group right there from the Globes. Notably here, of course, Delroy Lindo not nominated for Sinners, which is does not help his case, unfortunately. Supporting actress, we have Emily Blunt for The Smashing Machine, Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good, Inga Indoster-Lilius from Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan for Weapons, and Tiana Taylor from One Battle After Another. Supporting is a bit harder to peg down on the female side this year. I think Elle Fanning's there. I think Ariana Grande's probably there. Will the Amy Madigan nom actually happen? Hard to say. I think it feels like Tiana's going to get through. Maybe not. This is hard. Emily Blunt, this is a bit more of a surprise. I don't think that's going to happen at the actual Oscars. So I think there's some TBD here. Don't read too much into that one. Best Director, this is probably our top 6. We have Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. So looking at that, I mean, let's see. You have a previous Best Director winner in GDT, a Oscar favorite. He's there. You have Chloe Zhao, previous Best Director winner, only the second woman to ever win in the category for Nomadland. She's back with Hamnet. Then you have two renowned international filmmakers, and Jafar Panahi, who has not been recognized before, Joachim Trier, who has been in the Oscar mix, but he's back with Sentimental Value, and Coogler, someone who's beloved by the Oscars but hasn't gotten the top prize yet, and of course the chief of that description will be Paul Thomas Anderson, who has yet to win an Oscar, and he's here. So yeah, I think that's your 6. I think the question is, do Panahi and Trier both get in? Both international nominations get through, or not? Zhao's technically an international nomination as well. Being that she's from China, even though she's not based there anymore. I feel like that's your top 6. We'll find out. But notably, Catherine Bigelow, not nominated for House of Dynamite. Noah Baumbach, not nominated for Jay Kelly. So yeah, again, we're not reading too much into it, but from the first, blow here of high-profile nominations, things that aren't looking so hot, and kind of expected, nothing too surprising here, but the Netflix field is clearly crystallized, where Frankenstein is at the top, followed by Train Dreams with Nouvelle Vague, Jay Kelly, and Wake Up Dead Man following behind in some order. We'll determine how that goes in a little bit. Avatar 3 and Wicked 2 take a little bit of a hit here from the Globe's perspective. People on the outside, in terms of acting nominations that didn't get through, like Delroy Lindo, Sydney Sweeney, people in those other Netflix movies I just mentioned, probably seeing their race come to a close here in all likelihood. A lot of other stuff pretty chalk, nothing too groundbreaking, so TBD. But yeah, let me know. Do you have a reaction to the Golden Globe nominations? Again, I'm clearly not overreacting to anything, just our initial look here. What did you think of them? What movies are you pulling for? Let me know. And for more movie talk and awards talk as the season continues, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.